Have you ever felt like you are working harder than everyone around you, yet your life is not moving forward? You wake up before sunrise, return home after dark, and tell yourself that sacrifice is the price of success. Still, days turn into years, and nothing seems to change. In a coastal village where the sea decided the rhythm of life, there lived a fisherman named Rafik. He was 36 years old and had been fishing since his teenage years. He believed deeply that hard work was the only path to success. Every morning, Rafik woke while the village was still asleep. He pushed his small wooden boat into the water and rowed far from shore. He stayed out longer than anyone else, casting his nets again and again. When other fishermen returned by noon, Rafik remained at sea. When storms threatened, he still went out, trusting effort over caution. His hands were rough, his back ached, and his body was always tired. At night, he collapsed onto his mat without strength left to speak. His wife Lina often watched him with concern. She worried that his effort never seemed to bring peace or security. "Rafik," she said softly, "you work more than anyone, yet we are always struggling." He shook his head and replied that the sea rewarded only the hardest workers. He believed that pushing more was the answer. The villagers respected Rafik and admired his discipline. They called him strong and dependable. But respect did not fill baskets or reduce debt. Despite his long hours, his catch was often smaller than others. Some days he returned with barely enough fish to sell. Quietly, his worries grew heavier. Not far from Rafik lived another fisherman named Hassan. Hassan was the same age and owned a boat almost identical in size. Yet Hassan worked fewer hours and returned earlier each day. Hassan studied the tides and watched the seasons carefully. He repaired his nets and adjusted his methods often. Somehow, his baskets were always fuller. This difference haunted Rafik. He could not understand how less effort produced more results. The question followed him into restless nights. One season, the fish became scarce and the sea grew unpredictable. While others adjusted, Rafik decided to work even harder. He went out earlier and returned later than ever before. One afternoon, while pulling in a heavy net alone, his strength failed. The rope burned his hands, and he fell hard against the side of the boat. A passing fisherman helped bring him back to shore. That night, a doctor examined him carefully. He warned that Rafik's body was near collapse. Continuing this way could cost him his life. Lying awake beside Lina, Rafik felt doubt for the first time. He had followed everything he was taught, yet his effort had led him here. "I did everything right," he whispered. "Why is it not enough?" Lina held his hand and answered gently. "Maybe effort is not the same as wisdom," she said. Her words stayed with him. They opened a door he had never considered. A few days later, Rafik swallowed his pride and visited Hassan. Hassan welcomed him without judgment. They sat facing the sea as the sun lowered. "I need to understand," Rafik said quietly. "I work longer than anyone, yet you earn more." Hassan listened without interrupting. Hassan stood and led Rafik to his boat. He picked up 2 fishing nets and placed them side by side. One was old and tangled, the other clean and carefully weighted. Hassan handed Rafik the old net. Rafik cast it into the water and pulled it back with effort. The catch was small and uneven. Then Hassan cast the other net. It spread smoothly and sank perfectly. When he pulled it in, fish filled the mesh. "You are strong," Hassan said calmly. "But strength alone is not strategy." Rafik listened closely. Hassan explained that knowledge saves effort. He studied tides and fish behavior instead of fighting the sea blindly. Rafik had relied only on endurance. Hassan explained that focus matters. Fishing fewer hours at the right time beats fishing whole day at the wrong time. Energy without direction creates waste. Hassan explained that rest sharpens judgment. A rested mind notices patterns and opportunities. Exhaustion only repeats mistakes. Rafiq returned home carrying new thoughts. For the first time, he did not rush to the sea the next morning. He stayed ashore and watched the water. He spoke with older fishermen and repaired his nets carefully. He rested his body instead of punishing it. The change felt uncomfortable at first. Slowly, results appeared. He worked fewer hours, but returned with more fish. His body recovered, and his mind felt clear. Months later, Rafiq's debts eased. His catches improved steadily. His life felt balanced for the first time in years. One evening, as the sea reflected the fading light, Rafiq understood the lesson. Hard work matters, but wisdom gives it direction. Effort without strategy becomes suffering. The sea does not reward exhaustion. It rewards understanding. And perhaps life works the same way. Before you work harder, ask if there is a better way. Before you sacrifice more, ask what you are missing. Sometimes progress comes not from doing more, but from doing better.